Welcome back to the second day of our exciting webinar series. I hope you're as eager as I am to continue exploring the transformative techniques of Master Tung's acupuncture. My name is Myra Chen, and I'm delighted to be your host and moderator for today's eLotus webinar. As always, eLotus is committed to providing high-quality educational content, with over 30 years of experience and a vast library of over 200 speakers and 700 courses. Today's course, Tung's Acupuncture Simplified, Practical Protocols for Pain and Internal Medicine Part 2, builds on the foundational knowledge from yesterday's session. We'll be diving deeper into Master Tung's acupuncture, focusing on points and treatment protocols for managing internal medicine conditions and various types of pain. This class is designed to further refine your skills and expand your treatment options through detailed case studies, real-world examples, and specialized discussions on herbal formulas for pain management. It's my pleasure to reintroduce our speaker, Dr. Robert Chu. Dr. Chu is a licensed acupuncturist and herbalist with a distinguished reputation in Master Tung's acupuncture methods. He is the founder of the International Tung's Acupuncture Research Association, established in 2005 to preserve and advance the Tung family system of acupuncture. It has now branches across the US, Canada, UK, and Finland, reflecting Dr. Chu's global influence. Dr. Chu also serves as an adjunct professor at Emperor's College DAOM program in Santa Monica and supervises externs at the Roy and Patricia Disney Family Cancer Center in Burbank, California. His private practice in Los Angeles is renowned for effectively treating a broad spectrum of conditions, including pain, internal diseases, gynecological disorders, and infertility. Additionally, Dr. Chu's dedication extends to volunteering at Pasadena's Cancer Support Community and serving as an acupuncturist for Olympic athletes. Dr. Robert Chu's dynamic teaching style has made him a highly sought-after speaker around the world, sharing his expertise at acupuncture colleges and conferences. In 2024, we sadly lost two of Master Tung's disciples, Dr. Yang Wei Jie and Dr. Chuan Ming Wang, both of whom were brilliant in our field. While their passing leaves a significant void, we are fortunate to have leaders like Dr. Chu, who continue to carry the torch and inspire us with Master Tung's teachings. He's also been a valued instructor with eLotus on numerous occasions, and we'll share a link to his bio so you can explore the many Tung courses he has taught with us. Along with his contributions to Chinese medicine, Dr. Chu is also a renowned Chinese martial artist, having trained under the legendary Master Ip Man and other esteemed masters. And now, before we begin, a quick reminder to set your chat from host and panelists to everyone so that everyone can be part of the conversation. If you have any questions during the webinar, please use the Q&A box. And the quiz for CEUs will be available the next business day, late afternoon, for everyone with qualifying attendance. Now, let's get started with today's webinar, and please join me in welcoming Dr. Robert Chu.
Thank you, Myra. Thank you very much. And good morning to all of you from Pasadena, California. I know it's summertime and you guys would have a lot of other good things to do rather than stay in and take a CEU class from me. So I hope to make it entertaining and informative and very useful and applicable to your practice right away. You'll be able to try some of the things that I've given you in your own clinic tomorrow and see what the results are. So I think you'll enjoy very much. Oh my gosh, someone from Sydney. Oh, it's really getting late there, I guess, and other parts of the world. So thank you so much. I see a lot of, well, I don't see any faces, but I see a lot of familiar names. So thank you very much to my old students and interns who followed me when I was teaching at Emperor's College, and also for all of you who are come back and taking my course again on eLotus. And so we're just going to continue on and on. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get ready for today. And here we go. And today we have the latest and greatest slides. I did want to clarify. I never studied with Yip Man. I'm a second generation disciple of the Wing Chun system from Yip Man. We Chinese don't like to jump generations. And my sifu was Hawkins Chung. Him and Bruce Lee were very good classmates, not just in the Wing Chun school, but actually in school. My sifu told me a story about how he met Bruce. One day he saw a new kid in the school sat next to him, and he said, "Hey, what you doing here?" He goes, "I'm transfer." He goes, "Well, transfer from where?" Transfer some from St. Stephen's. And so, well, that was a prestigious school. It's like, "Well, what are you doing here?" And he goes, "Well, I got expelled for fighting." So a little funny thing. So very funny stories. And Sifu also often told me about Bruce. In his mind, Bruce was always alive because they were training partners. He always tried to devise methods to beat Bruce and how he would do so. So a lot of fun stories, but maybe that's for another time. Anyway, today's class is going to be on Master Tung's acupuncture for internal medicine problems. I'll also be covering some musculoskeletal problems, pain and things like that. And, again, like yesterday in the chat room, happy to answer your questions and talk to you guys and just see what's going on, what I could do to help you and how I can facilitate it. This is your seminar, but of course don't take total control of it. What I mean by that is I like to stick on the topic and if you have something, there is a question and answer section here. You can leave your question there and then we can address it later. I'll read it and then address my suggestions to it. Okay. So, any problems with the tech, I guess you can contact eLotus, Sam, and he should be able to help you. And, let's get started. So, uh, we always start by remembering who our teachers were. There's a Chinese saying, when you drink water, remember the source. And so very important for you to understand and recall this. And of course, in our case, is remembering Master Dong. He was Taiwan's greatest acupuncturist and inheritor and innovator of the Dong family system and the creator of our method. In fact, I say he's the creator of our method because he had to recreate the system from his memory because during the Sino-Japanese War and then the subsequent civil war in China, Master Dong was with the Republic of China side and they lost. So when he came to Taiwan, he pretty much just had the few things that he was able to carry. He was unable to carry the Dong family notes and history and treasures. And so he had to recollect everything from his memory, draw it and write it down, and remember all the functions and indications of all the points from his family. But if you understand Master Dong's principles and concepts, and I say principles and concepts because why? Principle is something that will remain constant. It's not a theory, and most acupuncturists teach theories. And when I say theories theories are hypotheses. Theories are ideas that may or may not be true. So I like to say principles because we know that these are true and proven. And also, I like to say concepts, not techniques, because why? Technique is an example of a concept, but the concept can be applied to many different things. For example, if you have the plus or minus sign in your mathematical equation, you can do many things. So the concept is to add or subtract. However, it is not just a fixed technique. Okay, you don't want to have just a fixed technique. A technique is just an example of the concept. So rather explain it from that point of view. Okay, some of you are a little bit, how can we say, very precise acupuncturists. wanting to take the t test and quiz. Come on, enjoy the class. It's Sunday. Pull up your favorite beverage and let's enjoy. Okay, don't worry about tests. Okay, they will be posted. All you have to do is come back to it. Don't go crazy about it. I promise you guys, you'll get your credits. Okay, right? Let's move on. I'd like to acknowledge my primary teacher, Master Yang Weijie. Okay, Dr. Yang passed away September 9th last year. It struck me like a bolt of lightning to my heart because it's the day before my birthday, and I got a call from one of my colleagues uh, from a previous class, and he told me your teacher, Dr. Yang, passed away. And I didn't know. And I called and confirmed, and certainly was the case. And I was devastated because his example, I followed it very carefully. And one of the things that I got was he told me that I was very studious, a very serious student, very well prepared, and very well researched. So in a lot of ways, I was like him. Of course, not ever to his level. He was a prolific author and worldwide teacher of Master Tung's acupuncture. For myself, all I did was just bring up introductory classes in Tung's acupuncture based on his example. And he taught me the majority of Tung's acupuncture. Plus, he taught me classical acupuncture. In the classical acupuncture, um, he often told me to study the classics, read all the classics, study them, and understand them for what they are, and then apply them in the clinic the next day. And so I always follow example. Work in the clinic, read the classics, apply and understand what the ancients did. Because the ancients wrote about acupuncture when during a period when only 10% of the Chinese population could read. Since only 10% could read, we had a saying about not to mislead the future generations. And it's very important to understand all aspects of classical acupuncture because we have over 2,000 years of recorded history in classical acupuncture. And he said, don't forget, look, Dong's acupuncture is from the 1950s. We probably got a lot of information published since the 1950s till now, but still it's excuse me, a minority when it comes to acupuncture texts out there. So he goes, don't ever forget the importance of the ancient acupuncture where the classical masters worked with their points below the elbows, below the knees in general. And those are basically the five shu points, the yuan source point, low connecting point, shi cleft point, right? And those are the things that you should study. And you should study them from analysis of the channels. That's what he said. And then also study them specifically in regards to time and season, month, day, and year. All of these things are very important to consider. So I became an expert in chronal acupuncture. And Dr. Young also gave me education in I Ching acupuncture. Himself, a devoted student of the I Ching. I often heard his wife criticized him and said, are you a fortune teller or are you a Chinese doctor? Right? When he would talk to me about the I Ching and its significance. And I follow his example of life, practice in the clinic by day, study the classics at night. So I urge all of you to do the same. And he always admonished me to, when we ate Taiwanese beef noodles together, he said, oh, don't drink the soup. You can eat some of the noodles, but don't eat all of the noodles. Eat some of the meat, but not all of the meat. Leave some, okay? Don't drink it all. Don't eat it all. So, pay attention to your diet because he wrote texts on diet and foods. So I also follow example. And Dr. Young's father was, I believe, related to Taiwanese police academy. So he understood martial arts. He said he practiced with his father. His father had taught him. And of course, myself as a martial artist in the Wing Chun tradition, I followed that example of practical martial arts, keeping the body strong um, while while keeping the mind very fit as well. So, Dr. Yang, I miss you, and his teachings remain alive even today. So we will have all of them. And my other teacher, Dr. Wang Chanmin, he was a lecturer here on eLotus. I knew him before he was here on eLotus. Dr. Wang and Dr. Yang were very close friends. He practiced in Chicago, Illinois, was a chiropractor and acupuncturist, and also had studied and qualified in Taiwan for the acupuncture license. He was the author of Introduction to Dong's Acupuncture. And Dr. Wang answered a lot of questions for me that perhaps I was not clear of because of discussion with Dr. Yang. Maybe we glossed over it, or I didn't catch it, or maybe I didn't understand at the time. And then he explained the importance of palpation on various patients so that you can find the points, and the points are quite alive and different. And you'll see an Usher reaction. Usher reaction is my term. It means there's confirmation when you press the spot, it's very sensitive. Perhaps there's nodules, or it's hard, or there's an eminence, or something of the sort that leads you to understand, oh, that's the point. It's not just the anatomical location in proportional measurement, but the dome system is very much alive, a living system full of changes. And so I wanted to emphasize that. And you'll see my way is also a combination of both of them, having the best of both worlds. Plus, I studied from a third master who was very, very influential, Dr. Chen Zhao. He was the creator of I Ching acupuncture. Some of you use I Ching in the old Wade Giles romanization, I Ching, I-C-H-I-N-G. So that's the same thing, I Ching. Dr. Chen was a brilliant mechanical engineer when he came to Taiwan in 1949. And he also studied acupuncture under Master Tung and used Master Tung's correspondence system, as well as channel system and channel interrelationship system. And it is reflected within his I Ching acupuncture system for those of you who have studied with him in depth. So I was his private student and his disciple, and very much understood his method. I didn't come out to teach his method much. I have taught it to some of my private students. However, I did teach some of the private students his method, and it gets very, very good results, although it's very, very simple. Of course, Richard Tan had taken Dr. Chen's teachings and disseminated through his balanced method. So, but Dr. Chen was also very close friends of Dr. Wu, who had studied with Master Dong in Taiwan. And I had met him once over tea, and he told me that he did not study any of the Dong family points with Master Dong in the early phases of his study. So Master Dong actually just used regular acupuncture points and used it with the correspondence method, the channel interrelationship method, the channel diagnosis method. Okay, and these are all things that we talked about yesterday, and we'll also continue to talk about it today. And so he was a great master, very kind to me, explained to me a lot of the understanding behind the I Ching, the importance of the trigrams, how they relate to the elements, and then actually you could divine information from them. And by divining information, we're almost coming to the world of shamanism, where we could tell fortunes and understand and predict events and things like that. I didn't feel adequate in my study of the I Ching at that time. And the last 20 years, I have studied the I Ching a lot, studied all the books that are available, and then try to understand it and then explain it from that point of view. So I'm very fortunate to have such a great master to have taught me. And so understanding the Dong system, understanding the I Ching acupuncture system, I would say that I certainly understand what Richard Tan was teaching in the balance method. Balance method has got the quintessence of the I Ching acupuncture system as well as the Dong system. So I want to be very clear about it. And then I also want to acknowledge Miriam Lee. She was a pioneer of Dong's acupuncture in the USA, but she was also a pioneer of regular acupuncture, and her work sparked the interest to create an acupuncture board. Accordingly, in the 70s, when Miriam came here, she had previously been a nurse in Singapore and then studied acupuncture on the side. And when she was here, she opened up her own practice doing acupuncture. But at that time, there was no acupuncture license or acupuncture board. And she was practicing and then treating patients quite a bit. Some people say that, oh, Miriam's practice was so successful. People were lining up outside the clinic like they were lining up to Star Wars movie or something like that in the old days. And, they just have to wait to come in and she would practice. And of course, Blue Poppy in the old days published some of her works, and the main owners at Blue Poppy had studied with Miriam Lee, and then encouraged her to publish a book on Dong's acupuncture, which is no longer available in print. I want to say that Miriam was arrested for practicing medicine without a license, and by then prosecuted, and Governor Ronald Reagan had her locked up as an example. But a more progressive, more liberal governor came into power. His name was Jerry Brown. And through testimony of Miriam's previous patients, as well as hearing the interest about using acupuncture, the acupuncture board was formed and was considered a experimental medical technique in California, despite it being thousands of years old. And I guess at that time, it was also close to the Nixon administration, where they had visited China and met with Mao. And then one of the reporters, James Reston of the New York Times, came down with appendicitis and got an operation in China for appendicitis. His appendix was removed. And then he was treated with acupuncture for pain relief. So that really sparked the interest nationwide as to what this acupuncture was. So Miriam has now passed away. Rest in peace. When I was interested in Dong's acupuncture in the beginning, I sought her out because I understood she lived in Los Angeles and retired in Los Angeles. But Esther Su told me that Miriam had suffered from a stroke and impaired her short-term memory, so she was unable to practice anymore, and she could only recall events from her long-term memory. But Esther was so kind to share with me Miriam's teaching notes and the notes that she had prepared for teaching Dong's acupuncture and then her own method of acupuncture. And Esther is really Miriam's successor in that Esther was the apprentice of Miriam Lee, had studied under Miriam directly, and shared an office with Miriam daily, had interactions. They both spoke Mandarin. They were both able to share the methods. And then Esther designed her own system of acupuncture, and she's been here on eLotus as well to teach. So I'm very grateful and eternally grateful to Esther for sharing the great works of Miriam Lee, and happy to also include those in my lectures. So I started out with Itara back in 2004. Some of my students are here. There's in particular Jack Chang. He's one of my closest students and helped me create Itara International Dongs Acupuncture Research Association. And I traveled all throughout the United States, all throughout Canada, all throughout Europe, where I taught in the UK, Germany, France, Spain, um, Finland, then went to Australia, and then recently came back from Bangkok, Thailand, to from teaching there. So I still plan to disseminate as much as I can to teach the Dongsa acupuncture around the world, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and eLotus has certainly helped me greatly spread the word of Master Tung's acupuncture. And I also like to thank Empress College, College of Traditional Oriental Medicine, for 16 years of working with them. I was an adjunct professor, and I was also clinical supervisor. Adjunct professor, I was I taught only in the doctoral program. And that's because, of course, if you study Dong's acupuncture in your master's program, the master's program is really designed for everything that you would need to pass the acupuncture boards. But the uh, the master's program won't want to teach you any more than that. However, the doctoral program is supposed to teach you critical thinking and how to be a doctor, how to think like an experienced acupuncturist. And in such, one of the most important things is understanding different systems of acupuncture and its relationship to classical acupuncture. And Empress College closed its doors for good as of June 30th of this year. And it's a very sad thing when the top school in the nation closes. They had a 42-year legacy from the founder, Dr. Kim, and also his two daughters who inherited the school. But sadly, it did not continue on. So, but thank you very much for Empress College for the last 16 years, and I'm happy to to teach here and preserve the knowledge, and hopefully we can keep up Master Dong's acupuncture so it becomes a standard here in the United States. One of my elder training brothers often gave me this saying that he used. He says, "The sea embraces all rivers, not discriminating against small streams." And basically, what that means is the sea is big enough to engulf and embrace all the 100 rivers. However, it won't look down upon the tributaries of the small streams, okay, that trickle in as well. And I want you to know, although I study with doctors Chen, Dr. Wang, and Dr. Yang, I took information from other teachers who were related to the Dong style, Dong system of acupuncture. And I say Dong system because I differentiate between system, curriculum, style, and teaching methodology. So let me reiterate that. A system is a body of knowledge that takes you from ignorance to wisdom, and you're able to apply it. Okay. And you have a specific curriculum. The curriculum can start out with basic fundamentals and then lead into advanced application. And so that's a curriculum. A curriculum follows A through Z, so that you can get to through the whole system and then understand it. Teaching methodology is, okay, we lecture, we talk, we have PowerPoints, we do slide presentations, we show you the point, and then we also tell you how to needle it specifically. And there are clinical shortcuts when you're doing it hands-on and live. And although Zoom is a wonderful platform for us to communicate worldwide, and allow us to have the comfort of our home or office to teach and to study. Um, However, it is not hands-on. And acupuncture uh, is first and foremost a physical art. And because it is a physical art, all the amount of videos, all the amount of lectures, all the amount of Zoom trainings that you do are not equal to one physical class of acupuncture because you have the hands-on and you'll learn that way. And so you're always improving and always increasing your game. Now, let's talk about style for a minute. Style is something that you express. Okay, you have a system that is behind you, and then you have your own expression of that system. For example, Master Tung used very thick needles, very long and deep insertions of those needles, sometimes 1.5 to 3 chun in length. The gauges of his needles were 26, 24, maybe even 22 in those days. Okay. He used only a few needles per treatment, maybe 6 needles per treatment. Okay. And that was about it. But he did frequent treatment, maybe once, sometimes twice a day. Okay. We have his records that he recorded how he treated the then Cambodian president Long No on after he was recovering from hemiplegia from a stroke. Okay, so Master Dong only used a few points at every time and hardly ever did bilateral needling like you guys do. And so that's his style now. So people who say Dong style acupuncture, no, it's not correct. It's more correct to say Dong system acupuncture. Okay. And so I made an emphasis of that yesterday. Some of you guys are mimicking me, but it is true. We don't do Dong style acupuncture. We do Dong system acupuncture. And Dong style, I'm sorry, I don't think many of us can replicate his style directly. Okay. We make modifications. For example, I use very thin needles. I use 38, sometimes 40 gauge needles. And I only use 3 sizes. I use half chun, 1 chun, 1.5 chun. And my needling, I needle based on accordingly to the channel diagnosis. And then I palpate the points. I typically needle maybe 10 to 12 points at any given session. Okay. But my needling is very light. And it is more in accord with the style practiced here in the United States, where people don't like painful, strong De Qi sensation and needling. Okay, and let me speak about De Qi. De Qi is not necessary. Okay, because in the old days, they explain about De Qi. You would De Qi is like fishing. When you throw the hook, and this is of course baited fishing, let's say you use worms and a hook, you throw it into the water, you quietly wait. And when the fish makes his rounds and discovers your bait, he grabs it and eats it. As he eats it, then you pull him up because you will feel the tugging on the needle normally. So you don't have to do any noisy thing. It's not fly fishing where you have to keep throwing it back and casting it back and forth. It's just throw it in, wait, meditate, wait, catch it, and pull it up. Okay, and you've got your fish. So in learning this style, you don't have to set the mountain on fire. You don't have to have the penetrating heaven coolness. You don't have to have the black turtle method. You don't have to have the flying methods. You don't have to have all the hand methods you learned in acupuncture school, which was part of the great compendium of acupuncture. Those things are doing something about acupuncture. Maybe they're akin to fly fishing, but when the body grabs the needle, you will feel the needle grab. And sometimes you will see the needle jump and you'll see the muscle jump. Okay. That is not always necessary to do. If you get it to the right depth, and the right depth is generally maybe just a half chun is all you need. And that depth is reached, the body will react. And as soon as you see a reaction, what you do is you ask the patient, how's your pain level now? How's your range of motion? How do you feel? okay? And most people don't understand how to do distal needling. And so then they poo-poo it. They say, oh, it's only good for pain. Oh no, it's not really that effective, and so on and so forth. So what happens is they lose the perspective of what the ancients used to practice. In some of the old classics, they talked about an acupuncture session with a master where there was a clever uh, talk between the practitioner and from the from the practitioner and the patient, and then they were able to get a amazingly quick result from the acupuncture, and that is the method that I teach and practice today, and I hope you do too. And from from you coming back to my seminars, you probably see where it is. Modern acupuncturists are an eclectic lot. That's because that's the way they were taught in school. They do TCM, they do Japanese acupuncture, they do Korean acupuncture, they do English Worsley system, 5-element acupuncture. They do, no system. They do Huang Li Chun ear acupuncture. They do wrist and ankle acupuncture. They do microsystems of the eye, nose, foot, hand, you name it. There's thousands of new points discovered in China, which are not really practiced here and talked about, and point locations. But everything I want to say does not leave the 12 channels. Okay. And so I want to be clear about that. The 12 channels are really much the main essence of acupuncture and how we do it. Okay? So my secret is very straightforward. My most important trait is not just technique, it's listening. So then when I listen, I make the environment right. I don't have necessarily music on the back. If I do, I lower it so that I can hear. I can hear the patient. I explore what they mean. When you say your back hurts, your back hurts when what? When you're flexing, when you're extending, when you're bending side to side or rotating, what does that mean exactly? And then I translate what the patient is saying into the language of acupuncture and TCM. Okay. And then from there, all of the treatment comes forward. It tells me which herbs to select, which formulas to give, which needles on which channel. Okay. And that is the real secret. Okay. You're a translator. Okay. And I know it's a funny analogy, but you're not like Google Translate. I should say you're an interpreter. Okay. You're adequately able to get the essence of what they're saying, and then you interpret it into acupuncture and TCM concepts. Okay. And my own journey, it wasn't enough for me to just study one variation of Wing Chun from Yip Man's lineage, right? I had studied with many students of Yip Man. I had also studied with many grand students of Yip Man, because why? They're the same generation as myself, and we're able to exchange very openly. And I respect all of them for their opinions and their way of practice, because why? Again, just like the sea can accept tributary from the Great Lakes, the 100 lakes, 100 rivers, then I can also receive information from everyone and learn from everyone. In fact, everyone from a sticking art. So, although Wing Chun is my primary art, I've also studied other systems, Taiji, Xingyi, Bagua, right? And I'm very proficient in the spear and the staff and the knives. And so because of that, it's because I practice many different variations to understand it. So in studying I Ching acupuncture, I also looked at different sources, read many, many books about the understanding of the I Ching, so that I can plumb the depths of it and understand exactly what was Dr. Chen talking about. How was he teaching me? And then I not only got the perspective of Dong's acupuncture system from 3 different teachers who had studied with Master Dong, I had studied the works of others from Taiwan who published their works. There's a plethora of knowledge in Taiwan, of course, where Dong's acupuncture flourished and continues to this day to have it. And now that Dr. Wang had passed, but prior to his passing, he had taught in China, bringing the Dong system back to China. Okay, and then attracting some very great skilled practitioners. Um, they also have developed the methods of Master Tung's acupuncture within China now. And so maybe one day I'll go back and meet with my teacher's senior student. His name is Liu Yi, and then we can talk and discuss about how the Master Tung system is used. And so it was not just enough for me to study from one teacher to get perspective within a student, but it's really to plumb the depths of the systems and find its systems practitioners and then find out what their styles were about, how they expressed their knowledge. And in doing so, I was able to grow and learn. And that's what ITARA is about, not just say, oh, this is Dr. Yang's lineage, or oh, this is Dr. Wang's lineage only, right? I want to, if Miriam had a good technique, I want to teach you Miriam's good technique and why it makes sense from our point of view and why does it work. I don't want to say, oh, well, no, we don't do that in our style. No, I don't believe that. That doesn't make sense to me, right? So what? The style is just your personal expression of it, but the system is so vast, right? Just like Chinese medicine and acupuncture as systems, they're so vast that collectively, that is the entire sea and ocean, okay? And so that's the way to use it. And because I grew up here in the United States since age 3, I'm a native English speaker, but I'm also bilingual. So I'm a bridge, able to understand Asian culture and then bring it into modern healthcare settings. So we don't just talk about the techniques and theory. To me, it's not theory, it's not techniques. I say it again, it's principles and concepts. And so because of that, then it's about understanding and bridging the two cultures, understanding the tradition that is behind it, and then applying it to modern day scenario. Okay, so very, very important. And I've written 7 books. They're available on Amazon.com. At the end of the handouts is a section about all my books and what I've written about. And people ask me to sign their books, and I usually write this, and I also write another one. The first one is Basics Are Already Advanced. Advanced is simply basics applied. And in learning martial arts, the most important thing is learning about basics. In learning acupuncture, it's most important to learn about basics. When you're learning about Qigong, it's important to learn about the basics. Everything you learn, whatever is called basics, all right, actually they're quite advanced because for someone to give all of this, this is a very high level functioning, and then applying that's just simply the basics applied. And so very, very important. Okay. And the other thing that I sign the books with is use your nail and you can't fail. Use your nail and you shall prevail. Okay. And the reason why is because there's an importance in palpation. We're taught to palpate mostly with the fingertips. However, that's one way, but for the narrow crevices of the body, okay, for the joint articulations or at the junctions or the muscles or the striations of the muscles and feeling where the bones are and knowing your topical anatomy best. Again, because we are physical medicine. We're not just hit the dot on the surface. No, we have to understand what we're going for, what tissues we're penetrating, and what effect we're having on the human body. Okay, this is the epitome of the physical art. So that's why for you to think that you could seal the art or just simply attend a few classes, and not plumb into the depths without the physical learning and intelligence behind what? Finding the points, physically feeling for the points, needling technique. These are all very important. And you'll see some of the points that we needle. We never just needle perpendicular. Okay. We have different approaches and different ways to do so. So anyway, let's continue on. Okay. Master Tung's method is not simply, you know, which points do I use? It's not like TCM. It's a coherent system with channel, not theory, channel principles. And then we have groups of points, okay? Point groupings, that's what we call it, and interchannel relationships. And when we understand this, right, then it gives us a very basic, streamlined approach, right? And then I'm sorry to say, it often bypasses TCM. TCM is a great art. It's the foundation of which I learned acupuncture from. But the problem with these TCM is that it's largely become herbalized medicine. Okay. Acupuncture is not herbalized medicine. Acupuncture is a physical medicine based on channels and collaterals. Okay. It is very different than TCM. If you read the classics, you'll know that there's no kidney yin deficiency in acupuncture. There's no liver qi stagnation in acupuncture. These are herbal diagnoses. Okay. You have to relate these to the channels, but you cannot relate them to the organs or the zangfu organs diagnosis that you learned in acupuncture school. And unfortunately, a lot of acupuncturists in this country, well, not this country, but the world. I've traveled the world already. And so in traveling the world, I have to say, honestly, people ask me internationally all the time, what's a good point for blah, blah, blah? It's like, what? You should ask me what's the good channel for treating so and so. Okay. But don't ask me about points. Okay. You should identify from the channel why they're such. And then the other thing that makes me crazy is when people use Tung's points locally. Oh my gosh. That is not the power in the Tung's acupuncture. Okay. I really can't look anymore when I see that. Or they apply TCM type protocols without understanding the logic of our system. Okay. Because why? TCM protocols were created by committee. And unfortunately, the committee was quite an eclectic group. Some people in the committee were specialists in back shu points, or others were in front move points. Others were in five elements points. Some were in local points only. Okay. And so on and so forth, right? So some people were proficient in 8 extra points. And so they gave the information, they called it out from the committee. Well, we know the story about too many cooks in the pot, don't we? Okay? Too many cooks in the pot spoil the soup. And so everyone has their point of view. They taste the soup, they throw in their input. You think that you have 10 great chefs put together a pot of chicken soup. Maybe it's not going to taste the same. Maybe it's not going to taste the way anyone would like it. Okay? So that is a big understanding. And what happens is many people just do mechanical type of treatment. Okay? Go for the cookbook way of practicing acupuncture. And then they miss opportunities for deeper clinical impact. Okay, so beyond point selection is don't just think, like TCM. Don't just chase symptoms, okay? Tung's is very, very logical. You have channels and you have correspondence of the body to different areas of the body. There's body symmetry and distal interaction of the points. And points groupings have a functionality where there's a synergy because you're using multiple points to get a message across. Sometimes I use the analogy that acupuncture is like machine language of the human body, that there's no instructions for this machine, but the ancients discover it through trial and error and clinical empirical understanding. And because sorry, I'm recovering from some acute bronchitis. Well, it's been hanging around for quite a bit. And the last 6 weeks, I traveled from Bangkok and Hong Kong and then came back here. Been fighting jet lag and putting this presentation together and working in my busy clinic. And then just not sleeping well. So I haven't quite recovered. But fortunately, I have my evergreen herbs resveratrol deficient and my evergreen herbs resveratrol cough CF formula, which I've been taking, and it's been helping me quite a bit. And the last few nights I've been getting better sleep, but still coughing from time to time. Anyway, diagnosis of the channels is the most important, and then palpation of the channels is also very important. So that helps you guide your point selection through feedback, not just rote memorization of point location and then how you needle it. And then once the practitioners internalize the logic of the system, point selection becomes intuitive. Okay, it's not about rigid, fixed formulas, but it's a very responsive art because it's rooted in these channels, channel relationships, tactile diagnostics, and clinical observation, plus immediate feedback upon needling. Whereas the disadvantage of local needling is several. Number one, you can be blamed for local trauma, or you can be blamed for aggravation or even worsening of the symptoms. They can blame you for that. I told you I had neck pain and you stuck a needle in my neck and now it's worse. Okay. You don't want to have that. And then the other thing is in using local, the problem is you have to maintain the needle in. So whereas I might treat your neck pain and needle points UB60 and GB39 is put them into your ankle. What happens is I ask you to move your neck. You can move your neck freely in all directions. Okay? Because why? There's no impediment of local needling to the area. Okay? And so you can give me feedback right away. No, I don't feel anything, but oh, hold it. I feel warmth and I feel greater circulation. Oh, my range of motion is much better than it was when I first came in. Okay. My pain scale when I first came in was an 8. Now it's down to like a 4 or 2 or nothing. It's gone. Okay. And that's the advantage. I have immediate response to needling. I can see the effect right away. Whereas if you do local, unfortunately, you run the risk of what? Increasing further irritation, not getting immediate feedback until after you've removed the needles. So I ask you, which do you think would be better for you? There's great adherence to local needling. I see it all the time. I look at it and I say, oh, okay, it's interesting. But I don't say my method is better, but I understand the advantages to my method. Okay. If you get results, that's all that counts in the clinic. However, I see the results all the time. So it always gives me positive feedback. And let's understand what the mechanism of acupuncture is. The real mechanism of acupuncture is wounding the body to stimulate the body's healing. Of course, the wounding is, we're really applying healing by first intention. We do a surgical insert with a surgical tool that is an FDA approved acupuncture needle, which is only approved for us licensed acupuncturists. Okay. If others are using acupuncture needles, it's not really for their intent. Okay. So I don't want to say much more about that, but you understand what I mean. right? So because of that, it's very important that you know specifically what's going on. All right. Anyway, let's move on.